Welcome to Hafele's virtual KBIS trade show for 2021. My name is Scott Kaminsky. I'm the Marketing Communications and PR Manager for Hafele. And what we are going to be talking about here is our Loox5 LED lighting system. Bit of housekeeping before we get to that. If you have any questions about any of the products that we talk about here, be sure to look to our website, our catalogs, our sales representatives, our customer service team members. You can certainly leave a comment or a question on this video. And again, because we are talking about lighting, I also recommend that you speak with our lighting design team. We have a team of factory-trained lighting design folks who basically know everything that they need to be able to build Loox5 into your projects. So we're going to start by talking a little bit about some of the components and some of the things that makes Loox5 so great, and then we're going to go and see some lighting in application. All right, let's talk about Loox5 itself. So Hafele has been doing LED lighting for a number of years, and we've kind of taken all of the information and all of the knowledge that we gained over the previous generations and kind of driven that knowledge into this Loox5 system. What we left behind were the components. The components in our previous generation of lighting were great. They really kind of in some ways set the standard for the industry. But what we have here and what we are going to talk about with Loox5 is actually something that's even better. We've got Samsung LEDs that are driving or producing the light for whether we are talking about linear light in strips or pucks and other types of fixtures, but then we also have updated chips and things like that. So really, really amazing stuff to talk about with kind of the evolution of Loox5. So the lights themselves and the system. One of the ways that we talk about this and discuss this is this idea of straight down the line, because it is it's easy to understand, but this is also a system which is really designer friendly, but also very installer friendly. So we talk about supply. We've got, it's a plug and play system. All you need is a standard outlet to be able to work our lights. We talk about distribution. So where the leads are going to the light fixtures themselves and also to mechanical switches. And then we also want to talk about networking. So we've got this ability to control our lights with Bluetooth, whether that is Bluetooth switches or Bluetooth enabled devices or Bluetooth remotes. And then it is straight on to illumination. This is a very, very small, kind of minuscule subset of the products which you will see in our catalog. But there's some really great stuff to be able to talk about just here on the table, because we are talking about lights which can be surface mounted, they can be recess mounted, but then we can talk about the lights themselves. And the linear light is a good example of this, because previous generation of lighting, we had kind of a standard wide strip. Worked great. We still actually have this width of strip in our lighting and available today, but with the new LEDs and with the new chips, we are now able to get the same amount of light put or better out of an 8mm wide strip or even a 5mm wide strip. Really, really amazing stuff. And then we've also changed and updated some things for we've kind of upped our extrusion game, because we have different extrusions where you can cast light onto particular parts of cabinetry and things like that, whether it's above or below or within. And then we also even have things like this dark strip right here, which gives this really nice kind of diffused glow to your designs. So when we're talking about light, we also have to talk about color temperature. So a lot of the fixtures that you get with Hafele, you have your choice of either having a warm or cool color temperature or fixture, whether it's linear light or a puck or something else like that, or like one of our flat mount fixtures. You typically have 2 temperatures of warm, 2 temperatures of cool to choose from, but then we also offer multi-white strips and fixtures where we have both warm and cool LEDs which have been integrated into the same fixture or the same strip. And we're going to show off some of those things when we get to talking about seeing things in application. But there's some really amazing stuff that you can do from a design perspective and or with task lighting and things like that with the Loox5 LED system. We also need to talk about RGB. So we've got this here in a dark red, kind of looks like it's an alarm, but we can actually, through our RGB strips, we can change that to green, we can change it to blue, to purple, to yellow. We can really kind of duplicate all of the colors of the rainbow within a linear strip or one of our RGB fixtures. So really, really amazing things that you can do with the system. And then we also have to talk about switching, because we've got all of the mechanical switches that you are used to, whether it's operated by a door. We have switches which activate via body heat and motion, but then we've got things like our Bluetooth wireless wall switch, where we can turn things on and turn things off, dim them, brighten them, all sorts of stuff just by using these Bluetooth switches or the Bluetooth remote. And then also we have to think about the devices that many of us typically have in either our hands or our pockets, our cell phones, our tablets, things like that. As long as it is a Bluetooth enabled device and you have the appropriate setup with the networking components, you can actually control all of your devices from those devices, your cell phones, your iPads, things like that. All right, let's talk. Let me turn this off. Make sure I hit the right switch. Let's talk a little bit about lighting in application, starting with the closet. So where you are getting Loox5 lighting is from a couple of different places. You've got lighting which is being cast from below. You've got lights which have been integrated into the cabinetry and into this very dark casework here. But as you can see, everything is bright. You can see all of the colors. And this is really kind of what Loox5 is about. And then we've also got lighting in the drawers too, because we want to make sure that you can absolutely see all of the colors and all of the things that you want to be able to know about and know that your colors are true in the closet space. Then we can also talk a little bit about some design elements. So this particular piece here is the Tag Hardware illuminated shelf, but this is actually backed by our Loox5 LED or our Loox LED lighting. So it's a great way to be able to kind of cast this light down onto all of these things like your jewelry tray pullouts and things like that. So really amazing way to kind of be able to add style, but add some really great function to the space through the Loox5 lighting system. All right, let's take a walk and go through and look at the kitchen. Because the kitchen here, we actually have it set up where we can kind of show off some of our scenes and some of the other kind of functionality that we can pull off with our lighting. So I am going to just very simply just turn everything off and kind of start with a blank dark slate. But let's talk about where we can add light and how we can add light, but then also how we can change it. So we can light up the countertops, which is almost kind of a must now in these spaces. But this is great for task lighting. Also certainly has some living in place things to consider. But then also let's talk about adding light for design purposes. So we've got this really nice kind of warm glow aesthetic that's going up above the cabinetry, but then also around the cabinetry. But then also, because we are Hafele and we want to make sure that the insides of your cabinets function entirely well, that doesn't just include hardware, that also absolutely includes lighting as well, because we want to make sure that you're able to see and interact with everything in those spaces. But then, because this kitchen has been outfitted in the appropriate way, it's got our multi-white light here, and we've set it up in these particular scenes, we can kind of warm things up in this space if we would like to. If that's really kind of where, you know, if I was the owner of this kitchen and this was my kitchen and I wanted to warm things up, I could absolutely do that based off of my mood. I could also kind of switch things over to daylight. You know, we can make things just a little bit clearer, a little bit cooler, but then we can also even get cooler beyond that. So really, really amazing stuff there. Let's take a look in some of the pantry units and some of the drawers very quickly, just to kind of show you a little bit more about what Loox can do in a space like this. So, I mean, in the pantries, we're making sure that you're being able to see absolutely everything. There's really, you know, pantries are a place that are notorious for people kind of putting stuff in the pantries and they don't see it again until it's kind of past its due date. So you're really not able to get that within these pantries because of and thanks to the Loox5 LED lighting system. And then we have to talk about in drawers, because this is really where you're going to get this amazing payoff, because you're going to get away from the junk drawer mentality if you're going to be able to see everything appropriately. So definitely want to make sure that you add Loox lighting to your drawers. It is going to really have just this amazing design, but also this amazing functional effect on your spaces. And that is really just a little bit of what you can do with Loox5 lighting in your spaces. Certainly encourage you, if you have not talked with them or used that service, use our lighting design services here at Hafele. Those are our factory trained designers who can really work with you to put Loox5 lighting into practically any space. You really just need to send them a cabinet drawing and basically answer a few questions, but really fantastic service for the industry. And it's absolutely something that if you want to use our lights, it is great, because they will give you a lighting design plan. They will give you an inventory list of everything that you need, all of the components and things like that. So really, really good stuff to think about and consider when working with our Loox5 lighting. Additionally, if there are any other questions that you have regarding anything that you've seen in this video or others that we may have shared during the KBIS show, please feel free to go to our website, look to our catalogs, talk to your Hafele sales representatives, talk to our customer service team members, and certainly pose a question to us or a comment here on our social media channels. Thank you so much for your time here in this video, and enjoy the rest of the show.